Hey, welcome everybody to this week's podcast, number 45. 45 weeks of this. Unreal. We have the regulars here today, Dexter and Tim Wiseman, Adam Weber, and our special guest this week, 2006 Scottsdale champion, Brad Wilton, owner of 2 Masters Golds. About time we get him on the podcast. He just upgraded to a new phone so he can do this.
Yeah, I figured you guys asked me about 20 episodes ago, so I figured, got a new phone now, might as well get on this thing.
Well, we're glad you finally made it.
2006.
Yeah, 2006, Scottsdale. Yeah, the first year they ran that tournament. That's when you used to have to drink your beers in the lounge, so it was a lot. You couldn't drink as much because you had to keep running back and forth, so probably why I won that one.
That's where all the poker was too.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I was playing that at the same time, so that worked out for me because I played a lot of matches that day, went up both sides, so it was quite a long day.
That's awesome. I missed that tournament. It was a great tournament when it was running well. It was good.
Yeah.
Didn't you beat Joe Cranbetter?
Yeah, actually, I lost to Joe Cranbetter on the A side, and then I played Russell Hunt on the B, and then Kim Chadwick, and then Joe Cranbetter in the final. I ended up beating him in the final, so it was like redemption to win my first championship, so that was good.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Do you remember how many entries they had out for that first one?
Like, I want to say like 90, maybe 89, 90, something like that. Someone's got the stats somewhere. I know it was below 100 for sure, but it was like all big name players there. That was the good thing about it.
Yeah.
You weren't playing against just all the locals. It was like big names, so that was good.
Well, anytime you could beat Joe back then on the lanes was a good day. So
yeah, and I was like, when I lost to him the first time, I'm like, oh, hopefully I play that guy again. He's gonna have no energy. And then I think we shot like 870 to 850 against each other. It was crazy. I remember starting every match with a 5-bagger. Actually, that year I played. I remember Jordan Shue. She was like 14, and shout out to him because when I played him. I start with 5, he'd start with 5. I'd start with 7, he'd start with 7. And all of a sudden I had like 930 or something to his 910. And I took him aside after the match and I said, kid, you're going to be good. Do not stop playing this sport. You're going to be a good player. You're going to win championships one day. And that's why I bought him a TPC this year. And I said, this guy's going to win. So we're going all in on this guy.
Once again, for our audience, 5-Pin Universe doesn't condone gambling, but if you want to hear the inside track, this may be the guy you want to talk to.
or Mitch Davies.
Yeah.
So, our first topic, Brad, will be couples life on tour. So you and Kelsey play quite a bit. Obviously, you're both very good at it, making cuts here and there. And with not a newborn, but a young child, how has it affected your bowling?
It's definitely changed. Or like I used to play 2 leagues regularly, then I'd spare whenever I could, and I tried to play like every tournament there was. And when Kelsey and I got together, we started subbing off with her shift work, and then when Reed came along, it was. Now I'm like getting a babysitter every other Monday so I can just play league. But you got to play league so you can get the repetitions in to go play these big tournaments because it's hard to find practice time, right? Like we're in a family business and she's working shift work. So it's like, where do I go practice? Don't have time. So I got to play a league. So I'm getting a babysitter like every week, but we're making it work. Like we go out on tour and luckily there's 4 shifts you can enter and now there's 5, right? And we just make sure we're playing opposite ones. So we can sub off watching the kid. It's getting to the point where it's like maybe we got to start leaving them behind, like this year Regina, like we got to drive out, just to cut some costs. But in the same way, like we got a good roommate. We always share with Aaron. He's okay with it. So we haven't had to change the cost of rooms and stuff. But yeah, it definitely takes a toll on you because you're thinking about what she's doing back at the hotel with the kid, if he's behaving. And then the same thing with me. She's sending me messages while she's bowling. She's like, oh, I'm struggling. How's the kid? I'm like, hey, focus on your bowling. Don't worry about us.
Well, yeah, she has to make sure that you're behaving too.
Yeah, just going to make sure I'm still awake because sometimes that happens. No, it's good. It's we're making it work. It is a struggle for sure. You definitely change your mindset. I remember when she was pregnant with Reed, we were in Regina for Masters. She was due like the first week of August, and we were at Masters, and I was sharing a room with Brad Glynn, and his wife was due like a week before, and we're all like, all right, who's gonna have a baby? Like, are we gonna have to leave in the middle of this? And I remember we came back after day 3, and we had just had the last games at Golden Mile there, and he's like, I'm pretty sure at this point they're not gonna tell us if they're having the babies. They're just gonna have the babies without us.
Yeah, that was a crazy year for things happening.
Yeah, yeah, that was quite. But I mean, everything came together, and we took home the gold that year, so that was good.
Yeah, absolutely. It's got to be a huge change for you just playing like the one league night. I remember you were always like the most diehard bowler I knew when I was in like YBC. I remember being like 16. I think you're 2 years older than us.
I was born in '85, so I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, so 2 years older.
Yeah.
So you were 18, and I'm pretty sure I was 16, and you had this like, yeah, you were talking to me on MSN Messenger, so that's how
exactly.
And you had a computer at the time. So what does that tell you?
Yeah.
And you sent me your Excel file of like all your stats for all your leagues for that year and stuff, and it was like you were so into it, and it's awesome. So
yeah, I kept track of all my money back then because we were traveling like everywhere. There was we'd go Calgary, Winnipeg, Edmonton, then we go to KG. And during open weekend I flew out to Uxbridge for a couple of years for those two in Ontario. Played those ones. I mean, that was that first year. It's only an 8-lane center, right? It was 8-lane or 10? No, it's 8-lane. I think we were playing 6 and 5 that last shift, and I mean, it took forever. But I always believe that, like you guys always say on these podcasts, like you got to get out there, you got to play. If you're not playing, you don't get experience. You're not going to get the talent and the mindset, right? Like you got to get in there and you just got to bowl the best of the best. If you're not playing this tour, I mean, you're just plugging along. So I tried to play everything I could. Luckily, with work, being a family, my dad was always like, go, you got to go. Like, this is what you love and this is what you got to play. And I was lucky enough to go and play all these tournaments. Had a good traveling tour with me. Like, I used to have David Sanderson, and then we had Aaron Arndt join us. And now that's who I always room with and stuff. And it's fun. It's definitely where you want to be.
Did you ever get to a point you were burning out playing all those events?
For me, not really. The travel was the hardest, just scheduling it, because you want to plan everything ahead. You don't want to put them too close together, but I mean they always were. And you just, especially playing 2 leagues, like we're playing Mondays and Wednesdays. Mondays was the hardest because you're always flying home at noon, and then you're going to sleep, and then you're going to league that night. That was the hardest league. I mean, I've been in that league for a while now, but yeah, you get a little tired. But in the end, the big tournaments are coming up. Like when Regina got on the tour there, we're like, yeah, this is the big one. Got to make sure you're going to that one. And then like TPC now is like, you got to be there. You got to make it. You got to make it work. And you just got used to flying. We drove a lot. You drive to Winnipeg. You wait till the last guy in the van was out. Then you'd hop back in the van at 9:30, 10:30 at night and start driving home. Sleep on the side of the road wherever you could and just keep going.
I miss the drives up to Scotts.
Yeah, those are fun. 13 hours golf and then go out
times. There. Yeah, we stopped at Kelowna one time, and there was a lot of things that happened in that one night. Or morning, I should say, Tim?
Yeah, I don't remember it.
Moo.
I might have paused off the bottle ride by 10 o'clock in the morning. Wasn't a good life decision.
Speaking of all those tour stops and everything, it's almost like the WCBT, especially with Winnipeg starting up their tournament, and there's rumors of another city looking at starting a tournament. The WCBT or any other groups need to start looking at like a rewards program. Maybe you can do like hotel rewards for being at all 5 or 6 stops of the season or something like that. Brad,
that's got to be the hardest, right? Because I mean, you join the loyalty clubs, and then you go to a city where like, it works in one city, but it doesn't work in the other city.
Yeah.
Like Regina's the hardest one because there's only, limited hotels there and you hope it's in the club card, but it's hard to find like one host, like what PBA used to, I think it was Motel 6, in the States, there's like a Motel 6 on every corner.
Yeah.
And I think that if we could get that would be great. If we get like rates below 100, like 99 a night, that would be perfect because you're always rooming with somebody. And, you get a lot more people out. I mean, we're almost capacity as it is at all those events, but more people, the better.
Yeah. Well, and just cutting costs because it's expensive to play every single event, having accommodations at every single event, right? Like the cost does add up, especially if you're one of the unlucky souls to miss a few cuts in a row. All of a sudden, you're $4,000 in the hole.
Yeah.
That's a tough
year.
Try.
Well, you talk about couples in bowling. Try walking in the tournament, you're already in for $2,500 before you even throw a ball.
Yeah.
Yep.
It adds up real fast if one of you doesn't make the cut. So.
Yeah, no, exactly. There's got to be some type of system where these touring players can get a cut or something like that. We know, like with the membership, the WCBT membership, they get an option to play hopefully a tournament later in the year, but unfortunately it doesn't help with the cost throughout the year.
Yeah. No, it adds up real quick. I mean, you go out on an event, you play, I mean, Karie, you play 3 shifts and now you're playing 4 shifts. And, you're like, okay, when's the next event? And you're like, all right, start saving all my nickels and dimes just so I can make it. So,
yeah. Well, I'm in a lucky position that I'm there to play, to win. So yeah. I'll play every shift if I need to. I'm not worried about it. But obviously that's not the option for a lot of people. So
yeah.
Some people are lucky enough that they have the talent that they don't need to 3-shift it, 4-shift it, right?
Yeah. Well, I feel that because I've always played this tour as getting your name on the wall. I don't have one of those yet. I'm striving for it, and you get your name on the wall. That's all that matters. If you win some of your money back, you got to pay an entry fee whether you're playing the Open, you're playing Masters. It doesn't matter. If you get money back, you're happy. But you got to take the mindset when you're going in there. It's not to win the $8,000 prize. It's to get your name on the wall with all those guys that you've looked up to your whole entire life. The guys that you sit around and you chat about your bowling and figure out what they think about, and that's how I play the game.
Yep. Totally agree.
I think it's much more simplified if you keep it in that realm as well. I think money is a huge contributing factor for the demise of a lot of bowlers, right? Especially the deeper you get in, all of a sudden now you're seeing, $500 extra a match, $1,000 extra for a match. I think it just weighs on a lot of people, and I think that's to your point, getting out there and playing all these events. The more and more that happens to you, the more and more you just kind of shrug it off and start looking at the, not necessarily the finish line, but just going deeper in the tournament, not necessarily for the money.
Yeah, well, especially in the qualifying. I mean, you're just thinking about making Sunday. And then when you make Sunday, if you start looking at what each match is worth, you've totally forgot why you're there. You're there. You're on Sunday. You made the cut. Like, there's a lot of guys out there that, they finish on that cut or just past that cut, and they're not there. You're there. So don't worry about what money you're going to get. Go out and win that title.
Yeah, there's nothing else than showing up Sunday morning and putting on your bowling shoes instead of watching, right?
Yeah.
You can just feel it. The other 31 guys or the other 39 guys, they're in the same boat too, right? You get that little extra bit of adrenaline and you feel like you belong there. And that's one of the things that always I was happy about making Sunday. It was just seeing everybody else there on the Sunday, and like you said, they're all the people that you're trying to be like as well, right?
Yeah, and it also saves you $150 on your bar tab if you make it Sunday. So
at least, yeah, absolutely.
Don't worry, Karie. You always have that Patreon money to fall back on for the shift.
Yeah, that negative number still. It's tough work out there.
So, Brad, we've talked a lot about bowling balls on this podcast. but you might be one of the few that have actually tried doing things with your bowling balls. You notoriously had that little cardboard oven box that you built for your to bake your bowling balls. Do you want to tell the listeners about that bad boy?
Yeah, that was just an old cardboard box with a hole cut into it to fit a blow dryer in. And then I put a towel over top of it with a bowling ball on top to hold it down so it didn't float away like a parachute. And you stick your ball on a rubber inside there. And I put a ball cleaner on it, and I would just heat it up to, for 30, 45 minutes. Bring it out, clean it up, put it back in. Kind of like what 10-pin does when they try to get the oil out. I had this theory for a couple of years that when I was playing at Chinook that, I was getting a lot of oil on the ball. And it worked for me that year. I averaged 216.8, I think, to finish that year. And it seemed to work there, but it didn't work anywhere else. But I don't know. I just try different things. I'm always researching what 10-pinners are doing because they got all the products, right? Of course. I mean, there's lots of ball cleaners out there. I watch all the rule changes with the USB-C. I mean, they had the one cleaner I was using was every frame cleaner. And now apparently the new rule is you can't use it every frame. You got to wait till the league's over. So they're changing the formula. Apparently the ingredients gave some sort of effect to make them better. But I always found I've always been a soft roll fan, and I found using ball cleaners to clean it actually gave it that cover stock feeling. When you pull a fresh ball, Adam wouldn't know, but a fresh ball out of a box. You're pushing it down the lanes because I feel everything through my fingertips, unlike Tim, who pushes everything through his elbows. And, that's why I like using those different ideas to try and make yourself just to give yourself a little bit of confidence when you're putting that ball down the lane, thinking it works for me. So if it works for me, maybe it's something down the road you can invent and you can sell and make everyone else better. You just want to have the best competition on the lane
and make a little money at it.
Yeah, that too. There's always that. I thought you don't condole gambling on this podcast.
Oh no, it was a strictly business profit is what I was talking about there.
Okay. Gotcha.
Did you find that when you did that, it did pull out quite a bit of oil?
Yes and no. It's hard to tell with our balls without, doing the chemical bakes like they do in 10-pin. You don't get to see it come out. Definitely it sweats. So thinking that that's the oil is what I would think it as. But yeah, it definitely changed it. I like to do it on I did every Thursday is what I did. And just because you'd fly out on a tournament on a Thursday. So I had them all fresh for the weekend, get them all nice and hot, and then put the ball cleaner on. And I just felt like I had new balls. And, it worked good for those 2 years, being back-to-back Masters, and gave me the confidence. And then last year it wasn't working, so I stopped using it. And I've thrown soft rolls for, I don't know now, a long time, 12, 13 years, whenever they came out. And then this year I went to that buy and sell and bought a pair of Star Lines because that's all you guys talk about on this podcast. So I just wanted something different that's not a soft roll. So I'm trying the Star Lines this year. It's not going so well on most nights, but it's a different feeling, and you can definitely feel the shot. And that's what I'm feeling it again. So now I can go back and I can make those drastic adjustments I need to make.
Yeah.
So Brad, quick question, I guess from a beginner in just trying to understand, like when you're doing the baking process and you're trying to get that ball back to new, what is your overall goal with the ball? Is it the feel of the ball? Is there a certain reaction you're trying to get with the ball? Less of a reaction with the ball?
I'd say more of the feeling. You can feel the difference between an old bowling ball and a brand new bowling ball, right? So if you use that old bowling ball and it's just slipping out of your hand per se, you're not feeling it anymore. I find that when I would do that, I would get that little bit of grip, especially when you're pushing 3 to 4 fingers under the ball every time, right? Just to get the, not necessarily rotation, but I grew up YBC, there's Joe Wood always told me, make sure fingers under the ball, get that finish, right? And that's what I always focus on, is make sure you can feel it. I mean, you can definitely feel when you're struggling, you're getting blisters on the wrong fingers, and that's just where you aim for. And that's what I found is when you did it, you could tell the difference from when it went in and when it came out, and then when you put the ball cleaner on how much the cover stock would feel brand new again.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
I think ultimately when you take that oil out, though, you should technically get more of a reaction out of it.
Well,
Right.
I throw 312, so I'm hoping that throwing the heaviest ball gets the most reaction. So
They're 5-inch 311.
yeah, well the
Well,
Star
sorry,
Lines now,
they're
but
310 3/4. I know because I was the one that sold it to
yeah, you were.
you.
Yeah, you were
Shaken back.
shaking back. Yep, you gotta re-put that E in for me.
Yeah, when you're up in Sherwood for whatever, I'll do it for you.
Okay, sounds
I was gonna
good.
say Masters, but I'm not sure on that one.
Did you happen to weigh those at the Tour Championship, Dex?
Sorry,
Did you happen to weigh those at the Tour Championship?
those Starlines.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I just know. I weigh them all the time.
No, the
I weigh most of my bowling balls.
WCBT only weighed one person's bowling balls.
Oh, okay.
Well, what you should focus on is when he sold me the balls was the upsale that he custom ordered the color so that he could get the heavier weight.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm still only going to pay a minimum. Because they're the ugliest color bowling balls you're ever going to see.
Yeah, well, so yeah, Starlines only come in like 4 7/8, 3/8, and 5-inch 3/8.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did want a heavier ball at the time, and I custom ordered the 5-inch 310, and they came in 5-inch 310 and 3/4. So they're pretty heavy, but that was when like custom ordering them were a reasonable rate. I think I ended up paying like $100 a ball, $110 a ball, but that's when Starlines were like $60 a ball to buy.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but now like to buy those brand new, anyways, they're $115, $120 a ball. So yeah.
Pricing
But,
has gone ridiculous. That's for sure.
Yeah, but I remember throwing them. For me, they just hit like bricks. Like I threw them and I had so many blow throughs with them because it's too heavy a ball for me.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I've found slowly I've gone lighter and lighter.
Well, I found like when we switched all these new lane styles, right? Like these the acrylics or whatever you want to call them, right? I find that with the Starlines this year, it's like bowling on old wood again. I can leave it outside a little bit, and it's actually gonna get the reaction of old wood lanes where you'd feel it for a couple frames, and then you could just be lazy 2 boards over, and it's gonna snap in and give you a strike. And that's why the Starlines are working for me right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, again, I think I've said this a few times on podcast, but like the soft rolls, 100% soft rubber ball on the acrylic. I've really found that an acrylic ball on the acrylic lanes seem to react way more than I would have thought. And that would make sense with the Starlines over the soft rolls. I mean, the Starlines aren't 100% acrylic, but it is an acrylic cover stock making contact with the lanes. It doesn't surprise me that would have that sort of reaction for you over the soft rolls.
The 312 soft rolls, I find like the more oil, the better. If there's a ton of oil on the lane, I just find the rev rate is huge. And you don't have to worry. You just push through the oil and it just snaps it. But when there's less oil, like you said, it's not reacting like it should. That's why I think the Starline, I'm not upselling the Starline over the soft roll, but for adjustments you need to take, I mean, we all know that, when you bowl 1 game, you bowl 2 games, you bowl 3 games, sometimes you need a ball change. That's all you got to do. And it's not just for your mind. It's the conditions of the lanes. There's too many balls going down the lane now, right? We're all aiming at the same spot. So it's good to have different balls in your bag.
Amen, brother. Take notes, Weber.
I agree with the theory. The execution's difficult for me.
Yeah, well, when you throw a brick down the lane every time, you don't need doesn't matter what you throw, right, Adam?
What's that, like 30-year bricks? Yeah. The only thing I ever really do is I just kind of change my angle a little bit, and get back to your point there. Just you'll kind of allow the ball to stay a little bit further outside and just let it naturally roll in, right? You don't have to throw that many fingers, and I'm the same way with those Starlines. It just kind of slips out a little bit, but you still feel like you got lots of fingers on it, right? Lots of feel, and that's why personally, I have a real hard time with soft rolls because to me it's too much grit, and I tend to overthrow it. Right.
Yep. Yeah. Well, you say overthrow. I remember like the best advice I ever got was the first Uxbridge tournament in Ontario. I shared a room with Rob Shanis, and I was talking to him about just how good he is, just how great he throws the ball. And he told me that the best thing to do is always underthrow a bowling ball. Never want to overthrow, always underthrow. And it took me a long time to realize what he was talking about. But when people say don't be lazy, sometimes you can be lazy and just a little underthrow the ball, just take a little off your whole mindset, and it works. And then you just get in that groove, and you just, we watch Adam all the time. Just once he's in it, you're in it. That's where you want to be.
I think the different mentality for myself is probably a very similar kind of result is I tell myself just to more focus on just rolling the ball, right, rather than actually throwing the ball. And I think that gets that little tendency to underthrow it a little bit more, right? Not necessarily push it down the lane, just kind of naturally roll off your fingers.
Yeah. And when it's a strike, right? You can feel it right away. We all know that feeling. You just got to get that feeling. That's why you got to bowl. You got to bowl these tournaments. You got to throw as many balls as you can.
Just get confidence.
Adam, you've never been one to bake bowling balls, obviously, but you are a guy that's like purchased a ton of cleaning supplies for your bowling balls, right?
I have over the years. I'd say the best thing that I ever found. It's almost like little wet wipes type idea. They're almost like a degreaser type of thing.
You do love your wet wipes.
Yeah, that is true. But they're almost like a degreaser. They're like a citrus based, and they actually like break down the oil and just kind of get that tackiness back. Just remove some of the oils, right?
Yep. Totally know what you mean when you get the tacky. That's when I talk about the cover stock. You get that feeling in your hand of where you like it and how you like it. And that's why those products are out there. Luckily for us, we use all fingers, so those products work very well for us. We're not worrying about the oil conditions, and that's what they use it for. We can use different products. We just got to make sure that, Dexter's Rulebook corner there, that, you're not using stuff you're not supposed to use.
Yeah.
That's right.
Man, I'm loving all the previous podcast references. This is awesome.
Wilton's digging deep.
Yeah, well, you try to keep up on them, but you guys make so many, so it's hard.
Well, you started late on them too, though. So.
Yeah. No
just nice to know people are listening.
Yeah, well, you guys got me into running again, just so I can have 45 minutes to listen to a podcast. So
you had a kid, and that got you running again. Get out of the house.
Dad bod.
Yeah, dad bod.
So we'll ask you our special guest questions. I'm sure you're prepared for them since you listened to a bunch of podcasts lately. But who was your bowling mentor growing up, Brad?
I had a lot. I had a lot of coaches in YBC. Just everyone had different impacts on me. Definitely, I'll go old school and say my dad for sure. I mean, I remember I was like 8 years old, never played sports. Had a lot of surgeries when I was a kid on my face and stuff for my cleft palate, and so I wasn't allowed to play anything physical. And we're at work one day, and Dad's like, I got a pre-bowl for Tuesday night, so you want to come down the lanes with me? So we went down the lanes, and he's like, look, I'll show you how to do this. You take 3 steps, put the ball in your hand, you roll it down the lane, right? And next thing I knew, it had a right corner. I was like, oh, that's pretty fun. Next frame, go 5 spare, and then get a strike. I'm like, Dad's like, I should sign you up for that YBC poster they got over there. So he got me into bowling when I was 8. Never learned like two-handed, went straight to one-hand 3-step. And right after that, out of the get-go, it was just like every Saturday night, go throw 5 games. And then when I got 12, 13, started making 4-steps teams, it was let's go throw 20 games on a Saturday night. Who cares? I mean, if you got global, you still throw 20 games. Yeah. It didn't matter. And then you get up to 25, 30. You go on a Sunday afternoon after work, and you throw 15, 20. One time my dad threw 50. And it was like, oh, that's a lot of games in one day.
Yeah.
But that's what it was for me. Like he just taught me that it was, you just got to go out, you just got to keep throwing balls, and that's the mentality I keep, right? And just go out, find it. And he was only like a 225 average bowler. He played the tour back in the 70s, but he just played it to go out and, hang out with people. Then I got older, and Dave Sanderson, I grew up bowling at Paradise, and then when I started playing adult league over at Toppler, Dave was huge. That's who I started touring with, was with Dave Sr. and Dave Jr. And he taught me a lot of stuff on the tour, like the players, what they're going to try. They're going to try mind games with you, or they're going to try pace play, or what these guys are going to do. They're going to try and talk to you, different things. He allowed me to go in there and practice, and he'd give you advice once in a while. And then my first team I got drafted to on Monday was Harvey, and he scared me. He was being 17 years old, watching him bowl that first. I remember about the first month in, he finally took me inside and said, "Don't worry what I'm doing on the lanes. You just do what you're doing. Stop listening to me yelling at myself." And he just taught me so much. And I've had him coach many times now through Masters and the Open, and got to play with him. And there's Tom Stevenson taught me a lot of mind stuff back in, I think, 2004, when he was managing Claiborne at the time. He took me aside and just taught me things that I needed to focus on. And he was the first guy ever to teach me drastic changes. Like where most coaches in YBC just tell you, get the ball out, get the ball out. I don't know how many coaches would tape paper over the foul line for me to show consistency, and then show me that I couldn't get the ball out. Well, there's a reason why I veer to the left all the time, is because I try to go around the towel or try and go around the paper. I got sick of marking the same spot up over and over again. I'm like, yeah, I have consistency. If I'm consistent, why do I have to get the ball out? And I mean, that's a good drill to learn bowling, but once you learn your style, I mean, you watch some of the legends of this game, like Bruce, most animated player you're ever going to see. No one has that textbook 1, 2, 3 except for Pizzy that you see in the catalog of bowling school, right? They show you. Everyone's different. Once you find your style, you find it, and you just go out and you practice. And Tom taught me that, like, if you're struggling, you move 10 boards to the left, or you move 10 boards to the right. Don't be scared. Move up a foot, move back a foot. You can do it. Just try something. If it doesn't work, you can always go back to what you know. Yeah. Go back to your basics.
That's the big thing in, like, especially in these cash tournaments. 8 games is a lot of time. Your first couple of games you're struggling. Don't be afraid to make those big changes. I love the big changes. Yep. It clears the head, but it reacts different, like different angles, reacts differently with the pins. You might be getting blow-throughs from one side, but you move over to the other, and all of a sudden those blow-throughs disappear. Now you could freewheel. Those big changes are a real asset if you can get comfortable doing it.
Well, and most of the time you're hitting the same spot you're aiming at anyways, right, consistently. But when you move, 4 to 5 boards to the left, it's just your eyes. Your eyes change where the pins are, so you see other angles. And if it doesn't work, you go back to what you know and just go back to it. But you got to make those changes in those 8-game tournaments, because, you can struggle with like a 630 and still shoot 22.5 to make a cut, or 2270 in most places nowadays. But yeah.
Absolutely. Totally agree.
No, I agree 100%. So your favorite tournament?
Favorite tournament? Oh, there's a lot of them. I would say Masters. I think playing with the best of the best, going out and seeing everyone, and we all wear the same uniforms, right? You go out there and you see the best dressed and the best players, and when you make the team, I mean, we're lucky out of Alberta. When you make it, you're on one of the best teams out there. And if you don't come back with a medal, you don't want to play next year. Because these guys are the guys that we tour with on the the WCBT, and the guys you're going to play the Open with over and over again out of your city. But I mean, like playing with Dexter, this guy I always want to play with. Tim, he always seems to make singles, so it's hard to play on a team with him. And I grew up with Adam, right, playing U Challenge, and we played some open teams together. But it's like you go out there, and this is the guys you want to play with. You want to be on that team, and you want to go out there, and every time you go out there, it's 120% every time. There's not going to be anything going on, and I think being on the tour with Masters, I think we're all such good friends, and that's what when we go to Masters Nationals, our team is so good together because we play with each other on all these events, and we're lucky enough to have that. That's why I like Masters. I like going to making teams, hoping to go this year, but we'll see how the scores go after those two central ones. I don't know where the scores are going to be now.
It's it's a crapshoot now, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Anybody can come out and have a good weekend.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, and that's why in Alberta, like we don't have a lot of centers we play Masters in now, but the ones we do, every year that's different. You never know what the scores are going to be. I remember when I won at Bonnie Doon, before they changed everything, when I shot like 23.80, and then they changed everything the next year, and I shot 25.90 or something, and I still won back-to-back years, right? But it's like, you just got to go out there, and you got to put the scores in. It doesn't matter what you do. You got to register 4 scores, and they got to be the best.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what that score line drops to after Red Deer, because I was truly expecting like 6 or 7 guys to go nuts at Heritage.
Yep. Oh, that's for sure.
And nobody did. It's unreal.
No, I know I struggled there. Like you guys were talking about consistency there, and I don't know, something changed for sure. It wasn't like last year.
I just truly believe, like, because I played there on Monday, it's just the approaches. They did something. They must have either started cleaning them with a different cleaner or something drastically changed, because the approaches are lightning fast again.
Yeah, it's super interesting, but lightning fast, but still different from, like I said, my heel grab's totally different there now.
Yeah.
I just couldn't trust it. The H5 was way too fast, and the H2 was hammering.
Yeah, just a weird combination that's going on. But
yeah,
everybody was playing on the same conditions, so there's no excuses, right?
Yep. No, we all played the same center, so that's what's nice about Masters. We're all there playing 8 games, whether we like it or not.
Yeah.
I think the best thing about Masters, though, for us is like I love the Saturday night. I know you missed it this one, but the Saturday night at Masters is hands down like my favorite part. Everybody going out for dinner, like 90% of us out for dinner together almost every time. It's so good, and that's exactly it. That's what makes us so close knit, and it's awesome. Wouldn't change it for all the world.
Yeah, like when we won in Regina, I don't know how many people at that banquet came up and asked me, how do you guys get that team so gelled? How do you do it? And I said, I mean, we're always together. Like you said, Masters, we'll go play our 2 events, but Saturday night we'll go have dinner together, and we'll chat and have some drinks till like 2, 3 in the morning, and then we get back up at 7 to play 9, right? That's why we just know each other. We know how to feed each other. We know what to whisper in each other's ears. You know?
Sweet nothing.
Yeah, exactly. So
I think it's even more impressive just the sheer volume of different players that make that team every year. Yeah, it's the same kind of mental outcome, the same team outcome, right?
Yeah, I've played 15 years, and I've only made it 4 times, but it's tough. It's tough to make a team, and now you got like Bradley and Tyler now are there, and we're all getting old, so you got to make a few more teams before another young guys come up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have a toughest match or a favorite match? I guess.
Toughest and favorite, or
both.
Well, I think it is both. I remember 2012 up in Lloydminster. I remember playing the singles. We played the 10 game before, and I was averaging like 280, qualify first. And then the rest of the weekend just stayed there, the 270 plus. Like, it was a tough center, and everyone was struggling. I'm sitting here averaging 270. Like, I don't know what's going on. So I'm waiting in the step ladder, watching Derek come up, now I'm like, oh, I got to play Derek in the final. Okay, teammate, here we go. So I remember that first game. He spares the split, finishes like 302
Yep.
to my 290. And I'm like, okay, I got to be beat twice. Here we go. I can come back out. Then I shoot 303. The guy shoots like 315, 316 at me. And I'm like, what just happened? He spares a split in the first match to beat me. And now I can't beat him at all.
Yeah.
You know, he just threw big scores. And that's got to be my favorite match, except for like when you make your first cut. You know, those are always good. I think my first match was Len Anseth. It was Collingwood TPC. I finished 32nd. Then we did the step ladder, and I ended up winning the consolation. I played him, and that was when Dave was telling me, like, this guy's going to go extremely fast. Do not play his game. And I ended up beating him that match, but it was just like, you just go and play your match. And yeah, those are probably my most notable match that I can remember. I mean, played Joe Cranabedder, of course, in Scottsdale, but yeah, just going out there and playing these tournaments, all the big matches you can play, like playing you guys all the time. So playing different guys is fun.
Yeah.
Fun fact about Len Anseth is he doesn't like it when people play his game. He doesn't like it when somebody plays as fast as he does. It gets too fast for him.
It gets too fast, yeah.
Yeah. Start seeing the sweat beat off his bald head there.
I remember that provincials, Brad. You were on absolute fire, and nobody else had a clue.
Yeah.
Our team was absolutely garbage, but you played phenomenal all weekend.
Yeah, I remember looking back at the stats of it, and I was like, I have no clue what I did different. But I remember it being super heavy, and I like it when it's really heavy because then I can slow right down. You can just plow into it and just focus on where your arm is.
Yeah.
You're not waiting for that extra little slide, right? You're just, it's going to – it's like playing Masters in the summer, right? You know it's going to be heavy no matter where you go. So you play better in the summer because it's the conditions.
That was the same year a few of the Central guys almost got into fisticuffs on the lanes. It was rough out there. Nobody was happy. Everybody was grumpy.
If I remember correctly, there was no oil on the lane, so it kind of reminded me of Grand Prairie a few years back as well. And
I played good in Grand Prairie.
You did play All-Star.
If I remember correctly, you just kind of had that. You were coming up from the left-hand side, and you just let that probably super heavy ball just run straight down the lane. Everybody else was playing break and couldn't control it.
That was the first year I had the soft rolls. The 312s was 2012. Yeah.
Be kind of neat to go back and see what the stats were on that provincials and see what everybody else was playing. So I remember it too. It was tough. That was I think the year Terry L was on the team. He won Central Provincials, and I know he had a rough go of it. Or no, I think he was the coach.
He was the coach. Yeah.
It was a rough year, man. Like
almost the same thing.
Not even close.
I think.
Yeah, go ahead, Tim.
I think that was the second last year Lawrence played, because I think he finished up after Medicine Hat the following year. Yeah, I remember that.
It's funny you remember stuff like that, but you don't remember a lot of other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Tim, so tell us, you were telling me before the podcast, Tim finally made a change. Let us know what Tim's drastic change of play was.
Don't let Dexter fool you by his judgment on me, but I've been fighting a lot at Sherwood Park on approaches, and I'm kind of not, I don't know. I will adjust anywhere else when it comes to heels and sliders, and I finally decided to drop down a slider from a 6 to a 4, and I almost shot 1,000 last night. So yeah, don't be bullheaded on adjustments there. That's all I have to say.
Congratulations, Tim. I thought I'd get you to have a few words in here.
Yeah, I've been trying to be pretty quiet because I obviously have to owe an apology to Stacy for last week about the oil, but I choose not to apologize, just like Conor McGregor would do. So, sorry, Stacy, I still love you, but no apology needed. All right.
I'd like to take this moment to apologize to absolutely no one.
Oh man. So Brad, back to the questions. You've told us what your bowling ball arsenal is, but what bowling shoes do you use?
I busted out the Dynaroos in about 2006, and then I won my first Masters tournament at Fraser, and I wore those all the way up until 2018, and I switched the slider and the heel over to. I made a custom pair of Nike shoes, and we played Masters in Regina, and after all those days standing on my feet, you just get a sore back. So I thought, you know what, it's time to pick a shoe up, and I just happened to have a gift card, so I went and got a pair of Nike shoes and just slapped some Velcro on it and just switched the Dynaroo slider and heel over the exact same one I've been using since 2006. So I don't really change my heel and my slider. I just use some sandpaper, get off all that goop off the heel, and just keep going with it. I just like changing the balls. That's all.
And you've stuck to that same pair of shoes for the last 2 years?
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm thinking about making another pair, actually, just a little more comfort. Get some with a little bit more cushion. It's just the body wears on you when you're in those big events and you're standing around for hours at a time. I just think that's what bowling shoes are lacking when you're just flat on the ground, right?
Yeah.
Sure, you can feel what you're doing with your feet, but when you go to wake up the next morning, your back's killing you.
Well, especially a lot of these centers now, they're going to the laminate flooring and the hardwood flooring, so you don't get to stand on carpet anymore. So
yeah.
Definitely does a number.
Are you sure your back is hurting from that, or is it from where you're sleeping? Because you've slept in some really tough, not exactly comfortable situations. I'm just saying it could be the bed.
Yeah, that could be it too. I mean, yeah, definitely been some fun places after a few nights and some few Baker's teams. So yeah.
The good times.
The good times, yeah. Before a wife and a kid.
Let's hope Kelsey doesn't listen, because he could be in trouble for that.
So what's left on your bucket list, besides obviously a WCBT title?
Yeah, making that 5th Masters National, getting that plaque. I know making it out of Alberta is the goal. And if you can make it once, you want to make it 5 times, you want to make it 10 times. But like I said, the competition just gets harder and harder every year. Scores are getting up there. And, yeah, you never know when you're going to make a team. Like Schultz said, he made all those teams, and I was lucky to be on a couple of them with him. And, yeah, I just want to make another Masters.
Yeah.
And then go on from there. I'm not playing the Open this year, just family stuff. We got another vacation coming up. So, focusing on Masters, and like you said, get my name on a wall on a tour event. That would be awesome. I like seeing those goofy PowerPoint photos in Regina every year, and hoping my face is on there one day.
Oh, they're so bad. I hear you on the Masters. I'm stuck at 4 too, so maybe one time we'll make a team together.
Maybe. Yeah, that would be good. We haven't played.
Maybe not this year. Maybe next year.
Maybe. Yeah.
I think I'm on 4 as well.
Yeah.
Me too.
Wow, I have the most out of everybody on this podcast.
Does that surprise you?
It actually, honestly, yes, it actually does.
You're probably the guy that throws the most strikes out of everybody on this podcast. You just can't pick a corner spare. If you could, man, Dexter, you would be unreal.
I pick corner spares just fine in tournaments for the most part.
Except when you call them out on it.
I just want to know the years you didn't make it, Dexter. Was that when you were losing weight? Like, was it before and after?
So I made 13, 15, 17, 18, 19. So 13 was Fat Dexter.
Yeah.
14 was
Fat Dexter.
No. 14 because I started dieting and going to the gym 13 just before Masters Nationals. So I was trying not to even drink at Masters Nationals in Calgary. And then 14 was Skinny Dexter. Didn't make it then.
You were 15. It was 15.
but then 15 was Hamilton.
Yeah, you didn't make Winnipeg. You were in 15.
So 14 I didn't make it. 15 was Winnipeg, and that's when I started like getting muscle. Didn't make it at 16, and then 17 was like bit like muscular Dexter, and then 18 was like okay Dexter, and then 19 was fat Dexter. So kind of all sorts of things.
and everybody wants to know Dexter's back at the gym. So
so this might be my last year for Masters for a while.
and Saturday nights he'll eat in the parking lot and meet us in there after he has his lunch.
The old parking lot, eating the
old salad in the parking lot.
Gotta do what you gotta do. That's a lot of judgment from a guy who's never picked up a weight in his life. Besides picking up weight on his, stomach.
Or salad.
Well, I eat salad.
Oh man. So I guess another topic I have for you, Brad. You've been a long-time supporter of the WCBT, you and your company A&B Express, and it's much appreciated, obviously. What do you feel the WCBT or 5-Pin Universe or any of these other startups going on can do to help improve the sport, along with the C5, the Masters, the Bowling Federation?
Honestly, just to see what you guys are doing. I remember when we discussed the concept like 10 years ago, we're all just sitting around thinking, we need a tour. Like, this has got to be a tour. And the tour has definitely gone in the right direction. Definitely even get some sponsors. I mean, we talked about the money, getting the prize money up for people, or even just like we talked about the airlines, trying to get us cheaper airlines. I know a lot of airlines are only out of certain cities now, so that helps out factors, but I think we just need to get the word out. If there's anybody out there that has a company that is looking for the numbers, like Dexter's got all that information. I mean, TPC, like the numbers that went through that little tiny town. You think about where we spent food and where we lodged and just what went through their center. Those numbers are what those companies look for, and we just need people to get the word out. It's not just the people on the committee. I think it's the whole environment, all the friends. Everyone's got a family member that's got someone working at somewhere.
Yeah.
And I like sponsoring the tour because I didn't have with work, I didn't have a chance to coach and stuff. I only had coached for a couple of years, and that's the only way I can give back to the tour is just helping you guys with financial support.
Yeah.
And I just want to see it get bigger and better.
Yeah, and that's one of the things with the WCBT and even 5-Pin Universe lately. We want people, our audience, to help push on social media. If you can share a post, it reaches friends that you have that these other people don't have, right? You got to expand the circle. If it's the same group sharing all the time, it'll never pick up traction.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
6 degrees of separation, right? Realistically, it shouldn't be that hard for us to reach the world.
Well, and a lot of it is too just asking, just going and saying, "Hey, I'm a bowler. I'm proud of it. This is what we do. We need a sponsor." And a lot of it is just people going out and asking. That's all it is. They can say no. Anyone can say no.
Oh, exactly.
Our Chamber of Commerce didn't actually, until we got that award in October. As much as we publicized TPC, we're still working on the grant that they have available. We haven't heard back on that, but our community didn't even know how much people we had in there. And then all of a sudden they came in and they saw the amount of people, and then they saw how much revenue, because they asked around at the hotels and even Airbnbs or whatever else like that. And I'm hoping next year they're talking about maybe helping us out on our end with growing the sport on our end, because they want television coverage there and all this other stuff. So any little bit counts. But it's funny, as much as we publish size things, I think we're out in our bowling community, or we even try the papers, and it depends on how media and stuff like that. But it's good to get that kind of stuff going too, just backhandedly, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
I do have a quick mention here as well. I noted, besides the apology I didn't give, was with Dexter in Rulebook Corner. I want to just make everybody notice and understand. Dexter is finally taking his tournament officials clinic this upcoming Friday at Bonnie Doon. And I want to congratulate him. He'll be officially understanding the rule book even better by the time next podcast comes around.
Yeah.
Certified.
Certified.
Yeah, pretty excited about that.
You sound it.
I don't know if this is like a good thing for Ernie, like running this course, or not that I'm going to be there, because. Well, I remember there was the one time, and I was talking to Ernie, and I'm like, Ernie, you have your rule about the 3 balls on the rack, and he's like, yeah, and I'm like, well, you're only allowed 2. Well, you're only allowed 2 balls in the rack, and then some people put out 3. So like, yeah, and it says you can only have 2 balls within the playing area, and he's like, yeah. I'm like, well, technically our ball returns overhang the back off the approach by 3 balls. So those 3 balls technically don't count. They're not in the playing area. And he's and Ernie's like, you know what you're being? And I'm like, a jackass. He's like, yes. But I'm like, but I'm not wrong. He's like, you're not wrong, but you're being a jackass. So we'll see how this goes on Friday. It should be interesting.
He does listen to the podcast, so he'll probably bring that up to you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. No, it'll be interesting. I'm looking forward to it. It'll be good.
Yeah.
Just keep the rule book away from me.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm gonna get like
on.
17 copies so I can throw them at you.
1 per ball.
Yeah.
Should be an okay game. 17 balls.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anybody, well, I guess Brad's not excited because he's going on vacation, but the Open's not too long away. Everybody prepared for your trials, or?
No. We just had our Pro Challenge this weekend. Pro Challenge, for those of you who don't know what this tournament is, you have 3 YBC kids. It's 8 teams, 3 YBC kids per team, generally graduating out of the YBC program in Edmonton area in the next 2 to 3 years. And then you have 1 pro put onto each team, and then you have a legend coaching the teams. So 4-player teams, and we were in Fort Saskatchewan this weekend, and I started out with a $154 and a $189. I shot, but then I did shoot at like 311 and 290 or something to finish.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I shot 920, and like honestly, out of the pros, I was only like 30 pins away from like catching them. It was tough conditions, but. Can I say I'm ready? Probably not. Am I going to throw some practice? Probably not.
Who was the team that won the Pro Challenge this weekend?
We don't talk about them.
Katie's team.
We don't.
Wow,
we don't talk about them.
Apparently we do.
I have to. I have to. It's my job. So yeah, Katie Rayner's team beat Dexter. So.
Hey, could you imagine those YBC kids on your team, Dex, after the first 2?
Like who is this chump?
Yeah, pretty well.
And
then I spent my entire time trash talking. It was really good being 120 pins below my average after game 1. It's top notch.
Nobody's played Fort Saskatchewan before, so it was quite the experience for everybody, I think. So except for the kids who played out there. So yeah, the pros struggled a little bit. It was pretty good. I don't think the highest pro was 960 for 4. So it wasn't spectacular by any means.
Still absolutely love the concept, though.
Oh, it's fun. It's a really fun tournament. My team wasn't super social, but I think it's great for the kids to be around the pros. I think it's great for the kids to see that the pros aren't super serious, because there was a lot of trash talk and a lot of jocularity between people and a lot of picking on some people, and it was a really good time. It was pretty hilarious. So I think that's probably the most important part out of all of it for me, is that the kids get to see that we're all approachable and we're all just people, just like them.
Keep them interacted and hopefully join the ranks, right, when they're adults.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We found a lot of the kids, other if it's school or work that's getting in the way, they continue. And actually a little bit better, we also, not just with the 5-pin events or masters, but the tour events. They got a ton of Edmonton locals. The kids are trying to play the tour, so partially because they can recognize us. They know Adams, they know even you, Karie, they know Dex, so they feel comfortable. I mean, I didn't know what was going on. I came back from Grand Prairie Bold, and this one girl, Madison, she didn't say boo, didn't say anything mean to anybody, and she was just ripping me apart on Sunday night. And I was like, can you just go away? No, Dexter taught me this. I was like,
it's been 2 years. 2 years in the works, and I finally broke her, and now she trash talks. I love it.
Yeah, I was like, thanks. I was like, so obviously it's a good thing. They feel welcome, and I hope other places can think something similar to it. I know, I think down in St. John, Newfoundland does something similar to that, and I think it's a good thing.
Well, it's nice. It gives some of the pros an opportunity to give back to the game a little bit as well, right?
Yeah.
I know we've had a few comments, even our way, just asking to how do the pros kind of promote or better the game, and this is one of the opportunities, right? At some of the tour events, we have the seminars and all that stuff, and it's just all these little things that are big, cumulative that really drives sports in the local regions. So hopefully it continues, and hopefully some of these younger youth bowlers continue in the game, maybe make it on tour.
Yeah, like obviously WCBT has been pushing the pro clinics and stuff like that. A lot of people got to realize too, like, they're so-called pros, but really they're just people putting up their own money, trying to win a little bit extra cash on the side, trying to win a title. And for them to give some of their free time to that aspect is a huge portion. And it would be nice if it was reciprocated, like some of the audience would come out and support the pros when they're playing as well, right? Reciprocation is a huge thing. We can't ask all the best players always to donate their time for free to all this stuff when it's not being reciprocated, right? So it goes both ways, and I hope the pros are doing their part, and there will be definitely more in the future if the things continue to grow, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not free in a monetary way either, right? That's not what you're meaning, but to have just that support system, right? You push that back and get that support system back, and it's pretty incredible to have supporters out there while you're playing some of these things.
Yeah, it's I know you guys have played a few Friday mornings, but when there's absolutely no audience in there, it's like carrying pins and needles drop, especially in the first like 4 games of a qualifying. It's like being at a Masters.
No, for sure it is.
Everybody's thoughts.
Yeah.
The excitement comes later on Saturday when everybody's pushing to make the cut, and some people know they're out of it.
And some people have had some beverages.
Yeah.
It definitely gets louder at that point.
So if some of the audience are fans of the game and they don't participate in the events, but they want to come watch, definitely later on Saturdays, if you want to see some unreal bowling and some broken hearts and some elation, that's definitely the time to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody got one last topic?
Hey, Brad, if you had to challenge one player across Canada, 5-game match, who would it be?
What are we playing for?
Whatever you want.
Whatever we want. We're playing $1,000 a game. Yeah.
Could be Pride, right?
Pride. There's one guy I've never played a match against, and we're really good friends. But you had to pick one of those teams where you want a guy on your team. It's Mitch. I'd love to play Mitch Davies any day.
Yep.
I mean, I played Adam. I played league against you tons of times. I know you own my record. I've never beat you in league play. But Mitch Davies, for sure. It's the guy I'd want to play. Hands down, anytime, any day, for anything.
Didn't you play against him in the Invitational one year?
No. I think played Matt Eisenhower one year. I can't remember who else I played. But yeah, he's a guy that he's going to give you 130% every time. And yeah, he's just that good.
I don't know, Brad. I don't know, Brad, because Rylan kicked his ass pretty good there not so long ago. I don't know if it's worth your time.
No. Faced him, it's a guaranteed $1,000. Of course, you pick Mitch.
Yeah, faced him in the pins game the year before at the WCBT, and I 10-0'd him, and I just remember him handing me a sheet, being like, "You hand this in. I'm too embarrassed to do it."
Well, Mitch would be a good one for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, Mitch would be a guy for sure.
Well, that's good. The question was for the guest.
That's a great one. I'm not a guest. Carrie's the host. I'm still a guest.
Yeah,
you're just a regular guest. Like you can't get the leave.
You're almost certified.
Honestly, I don't know who would I play for $1,000 or a match if I wanted to play one. I don't know if it would be somebody that. Oh,
it's good. I didn't ask you.
Well, it must be tax season.
Well, right, guys, we're gonna wrap this one up. End it on a high note. All right, Brad, thank you very much for coming on. Obviously,
Thanks, Brad.
We probably won't see you before you're on your vacation, so we'll see you in Regina.
Regina, yeah, we'll see you guys there, and thanks for having me on.
Of course.
Yeah, anytime. Thanks for buying a new phone.
Yeah, thanks.